The Passenger, written by me, the writer, Renetta. All rights belong to me, the writer, Renetta. Why do human beings want to live forever? Beats me. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Hell, after a few thousand years, most go crazy. Me? I haven't gone crazy yet. Who am I? I am whoever my current host is. I guess you could say my parents didn't give me a name. We don't have names like humans. I just inherited all their knowledge and life experiences from both of them, which means I have a lot of information. Some of it useful, some of it not. Most of it didn't make any sense until I had my own life experiences to relate it to. Yet here I am, still living among you. I've been worshipped as a god, bowed down to before by you as a pharaoh, a king, and a queen. I've been a man, but I prefer to be a woman. Men are easier prey than women. So, it's better to be a woman. With men, as long as there is sex involved, they'll go with you. You don't even have to be pretty. Who am I now? I am currently a single mother with 2 kids. Or at least that's how it appears. Because you see my host, not me. Because I live inside my host. I'm a parasite, but I don't live off my host. That would be counterproductive. But I do feed off other human beings. Don't worry, I don't have to kill my prey to feed, even though the best feeding is achieved by sucking the prey dry. If you suck the prey dry, the feeding lasts between a decade to a quarter of a century, depending on the age and the health of the prey. The younger and healthier the prey, the better the feed. The way I do it, I select men between 20 and 50 years of age. The feed lasts between 3 to 5 years. It means I have to hunt more often, but there's no trail of bodies either. Just a guy here and there that thinks I'm kinky, or rather that my host is kinky. But I don't hunt in the town I live in. I drive out of town and move every decade or so. But I only stay with a host about a half century now. The benefits of being a host are excellent health and longevity. How do you think those guys in the Bible lived so long? The blessings of being a God-fearing man? Please. Not that you don't have creators, you do. They invited us here because we would give you excellent health and longevity. Our realm was imploding. They offered us refuge here in your realm, on your world. They hadn't meant for you to grow old and die. But they are feeding off your souls after all. That's right, folks. And for those that are a little slow, I'll put it bluntly. You are not the top of the food chain. The reason you grow old and die is because your creators are constantly feeding on your souls. They've gone by many names: Zeus, Apollo, Hera, Aphrodite, Ra, to name a few. And they did interact with you in the beginning. Or rather, what you think of as the beginning. You can even reproduce with your creators. You were, after all, created in their image. But it's been a long time since you've reproduced together. The last guy that was born of such a union, you now call your savior and pray to him. Not that he's not capable of hearing your prayers, but come on, people, do you think he's really listening? Well, maybe once in a great while, just for a laugh. I wonder what they do over there on their side of the veil to keep themselves busy. They're not hunting to survive, that's for sure. And sometimes I think they made you way too intelligent for your own good. Figuring out your average life expectancy, counting and keeping track of each other like cattle. That's why I have to change host about every 50 years now. Before you began doing that, I could keep a host for up to 500 years. If the villagers got suspicious because we didn't seem to be aging, we just moved on. Went someplace else. Sometimes we even faked our own death. Nobody in a burnt out house? No problem. Not possible these days. These days, by the time I get my host life in order and we're finally living comfortably, it's time to go to a hospital and pick out a new host. Yes, a hospital is the best place to find a new host. There are plenty of unconscious people. Where do you think miraculous recoveries come from? God? Not that your creators aren't capable of healing you and extending your lives, but they don't bother with that anymore. You do very well at it yourselves now anyways. When I found my current host, she was in the hospital having a pulmonary cyst removed. Not necessarily a life-threatening condition, but very painful. She was 13. I thought, cool, teenage guys are always horny. My next feed is going to be so easy. And it was. The only problem is the only reliable form of birth control is abstinence. So, in the process of getting myself fed, I got my host pregnant at 15. Not me personally, but me as in I was in control that night. I was driving the car, so to speak. There was a time when humans volunteered to be the host for my kind, and lined up begging to be the human sacrifice, eager to be the one to die while being embraced by a god. And just for the record, I wasn't the one who told you that lie. One of your own creators said we were gods too. And adoration is fun for a couple of centuries. Then it starts to get monotonous. I think it may be the monotony that drives some of us crazy. And one of us gone crazy inside one of you is a bad thing. Children, can you say Elizabeth Bathory, Hitler, Count Vlad the Impaler, Unabomber, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Pious Poisoner, 9/11? How about Jack the Ripper, Child Corpse Collecting Chad, Harold the Human Skin Collector? You guys don't need any help killing each other. And when one of us goes nuts, we manage to take out a lot of you in all kinds of ugly ways. We try to police ourselves, but we're not as good at counting ourselves as you. I just know there are a lot more of you than us. And when one of us goes crazy, it has to be terminated. We usually do that by preventing it from getting a new host. If your current host dies, you can keep a dead host's body animated for about 4 hours. But you're integrated into your host. You're part of him or her, part of their immune system, connected to their brain and spinal cord and to their intestines. Your tentacles are connected all over the place. Tentacles. Including the respiratory system. I need oxygen too. So if you can't get out of your dead host, you expire too. You can heal a lot of things for your host, including most cancers. I've healed brain damage that would have killed them otherwise, but I can't fix stuff like decapitation or a severed limb. And I can't metabolize poison. We all have our limits. But I miss the good old days when I and my host were partners who shared thoughts and feelings, made decisions together. All my knowledge was their knowledge too. Now they never know I'm there. I sneak into their bodies while they lie unconscious in a hospital bed. It's better if they're unconscious. No matter how you enter the body, it's uncomfortable for them. Even quite painful for them if they fight you. And you do a little damage on the way in, but I heal it quickly. With men, there are only two ways to enter: orally or anally. And I know, ew, gross. I guess that might be why I usually choose a female host. Entering the body vaginally is easier than orally or anally. Less discomfort for the host, too, if I enter vaginally. My first host was a young girl of 11, a virgin. Don't ask me why they like to use virgins for everything, but Cleo was so brave. She received me on her knees, opened her mouth willingly, never flinched, never screamed. Of course, the fact that she didn't struggle means she didn't suffer any pain, just momentary discomfort. I loved her very much, so many centuries ago, yet I still miss her very much. The thing about going into a hospital and choosing a host is that you don't know everything you're getting. Take my current host. I really love and like her. She's awesome. But when I got her at 13, she had already been molested by a preacher and as a preschooler. And just a few months before I got her, she had been raped at a party in her own home while her mother was downstairs partying. Her mother's a fairly functional addict. Her father's a drug pusher / pimp who spent most of her childhood in prison. She was a little suicidal when I got her, but I helped her through it. Subtly, of course. She's not aware of me exactly. She's aware of me the way that she's aware of her conscience. Or rather, she thinks I'm her conscience. I whisper to her. She hears me the way she hears her own thoughts. And when she argues with me, she just thinks she's arguing with herself. But she's such a good person. A lot of internal strength and endurance. When we got pregnant, when she was 15, I say we because you have to remember I become an integrated part of my host. I hear with their ears, see with their eyes, touch with their hands. I experience everything my host is experiencing. The good, the bad, and the why me. Yet, finding yourself pregnant at 15, she was so scared. Her mother offered to take her for an abortion, but she didn't even consider it, decided to keep her baby. Her mother offered to sign the papers so she could drop out of high school because she had the baby, but she didn't go for it. She stuck it out and got her high school diploma, then got her bachelor's degree through a university partnership program at the local community college. Had her second child a year before she earned her bachelor's. That pregnancy didn't have anything to do with me. She was in a relationship with what we both thought was a nice guy. But his reason for dumping her was the pregnancy. What an ass. I should have fed on him and sucked him dry. Bastard. My girl can't catch a break. Rotten parents, irresponsible fathers, 2 kids with special needs, beat up old transport, and she doesn't give up. She just keeps trying, keeps pushing forward. She's intelligent, honest, hardworking, and reliable. She's got herself some religion now. I can't say I'm exactly happy about it, except it gives her hope. So I'm not going to rain on her parade in this area. I've only ever lived in this area of this realm. For all I know, maybe your creators have some sort of paradise waiting for you all after you die. I have no trouble saying that my girl deserves such a reward. But this new religion is going to be a problem for me. It's so strict. We're not allowed to have any fun. No coffee, no cigarettes, no booze. My girl's not a drinker, but I like to have one once in a while. I like the fruity ones. Here's the big problem. She took a vow of chastity. Chastity! During sex is the easiest way to feed. Of course, I really enjoy sex too. I can manage to feed during hot and heavy making out. But she's not even allowed to do that. I hate to totally take over and drive. That leaves her with a blank spot like a blackout. Then if she finds out what happened while I was driving, she'll be afraid she's becoming a nut job like her mother. I don't want her to doubt herself. She's vulnerable and fragile as it is, and she's so lonely. She's hoping that if she's a good girl, God will finally reward her with her soulmate. I'm not sure I even believe in such a thing as a soulmate, but I guess it's possible. My parents were in love, said it was very rare for us to find someone to endure eternity with. My parents died when their hosts were beheaded. I have a sibling I haven't seen hide nor hair of in a few centuries. I have no idea if my sibling is even still alive. It's been nearly 2 centuries since I've come across another like me. How would I know if another like me was in the room? Scent. Your noses are more sensitive than you think. Okay, I want my host to be happy. She deserves it. And if she meets Mr. Perfect for her, then what? I don't want to feed off her mate. A feeding that lasts me 3 or 5 years knocks up to a decade off the prey's life. I don't want her to be a young widow because of me. But she's not the type to cheat. I'd have to take over and drive. Hell, a lot further than the next town over. Because if it got back to him, it would ruin her marriage. And believe it or not, I'm trying to help make her life better. Unlike her own parents, we don't talk to them and have moved about as far away as we can get. My girl has big brass ones. I gave her the idea it was time to move again, and she just ran with it. She spent about a year preparing, packed up her kids, rented a 24-foot-long U-Haul, and started driving. Everything didn't go as planned, yet we've managed to land in a decent area. We haven't been here a whole year yet, and because of her rough upbringing, she's slow to make friends. She has trouble trusting people, but we're going to make it. I have always managed to help my hosts build better lives for themselves. It would make me very happy if by the time I'm ready to seek a new host, she had a good mate to spend the rest of her life with, and a nice fat retirement. She's never had a real vacation. I'd like to see her get that. There is so much I wish I could share with her. Let her know she's not alone. Because I hate it when she cries herself to sleep. She's a quiet crier. She doesn't want our kids to know how lonely and scared she is. She's afraid that no matter how hard she tries, her life will always be a living nightmare. I want to tell her she's one of the bravest women I've ever known. Every bit as brave as my first host, Cleo. And braver than any male host I ever had. I have found males to be unbelievably insensitive. A male will tell a woman he's gotten pregnant without batting an eye. It's not my problem. Or, get rid of it. Like his own child is an unwanted litter of puppies or kittens. The law protects pets better than it does children. I did admit I prefer to be a female host, didn't I? I prefer to have a female host. That's because women are the truly strong ones. There isn't anything my host wouldn't do to make life better for her children. For most males, their whole focus is themselves and their third leg. Sorry, I didn't mean to male bash. But remember, I have centuries of personal observations and experiences. Centuries. The end.